Hi, Mike McCulley, and I am in the briefing tent at the Central Command for the Cariboo Fire Centre. I'm joined by Alison Martin and Tim McKern from Australia. Tim is a fire behaviour analyst. Alison is an information officer, and we're very lucky to have them here with us this year helping with the effort within the Cariboo. So let's talk a little bit about what you do. First of all, Tim, can you please explain to us what a fire behaviour analyst does?
Okay, so as a fire behaviour analyst, I guess my role is about trying to, as much as possible, provide predictions as to where a fire is going to arrive at certain times and what it's going to look like when it arrives. So what the intensity is going to be, how big the flames will be, what the fire actually looks like when it arrives at a location. So it's all about, I guess, both safety of our crews in terms of how we can effectively tackle the fire, but it's also about in terms of informing communities, getting out timely and accurate warnings to communities and providing them with suitable advice as to when they need to be leaving an area because of that fire danger.
Yeah, excellent. Certainly an important job on the line. And Alison, for you, I've been able to work with you for the last few days. I got to learn a bit from you. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how it's been working out in these communities around Williams Lake for you as a fire information officer?
Yeah, so for me, I think I'm quite lucky in this job. I get to meet a lot of fantastic people. Unfortunately, it's not always in the best circumstances, but definitely the communities have been very welcoming, being someone that's not from the region, and I just try and give, I guess, the most up-to-date, accurate information as we get it from the fireground.
Excellent. And Tim, I know you've been away from home a long time now. Can you maybe tell folks how long this deployment is for you and when you might expect, when you left and when you might expect to get back home to your country?
So we're just coming up to 5 weeks now, and we're going to be heading back early next week. So about 5.5 weeks all up that we've been away. So it's been a long time, but it's been a good but challenging trip, I guess. It's been long working hours, it's been long days, there've been long rotations, but really feel like we're making a difference, I guess, and having an impact in terms of what we're doing here with the firefight.
Excellent. And Alison, you work together with Tim for quite a long time. You're on the same management team. Maybe talk a little bit about the camaraderie with your group. You're traveling together, working together, and living together. So what's that like?
Yeah, well, my team, we're all from the southern states of South Australia. None of us actually knew each other before we started this deployment, so we all just met about a month ago. So it's been really good. Everyone knows their role, everyone knows their job. We do all get along really, really well and respect the amazing job that each person does in that role. So it's been a great experience, and I think we'll be friends for a long time.
Right. And so Tim, as a fire behaviour analyst, can you maybe talk about the differences between some wildfires that we're seeing here in British Columbia and what you might deal with back in your fire season in Australia?
I guess probably there's a number of challenges that arriving in a different country. The fuel types here are particularly different to what we have in Australia. So we're predominantly looking at eucalypt-type forests in Australia that we have our major fires in. So that has certainly been a challenge, but we received some really good training when we first arrived in the local fuel types and local weather we're likely to expect here, and that's made the job a lot easier. But I guess in terms of how fires actually look, I guess at home we tend to get a lot of spotting activity out of fires, so small fires starting a long distance in front of the main fire front, which is not so predominant here. But I guess there's challenges here too in terms of fires burn much deeper into the soil layer and into the lower levels of the soil that really making sure that fires are completely out really challenging. So both environments are challenging, and both of them bring their own unique challenges. But
yeah, excellent. Yeah, I'm sure it's quite significantly different, but the same in a lot of ways. So, Alison, this is a fairly disastrous season for us here in the Cariboo. Obviously, when you leave, maybe you could talk a little bit about what that's like, how it feels for you to have been part of that, and some of the thoughts that you take out of our country when you go home.
Yeah, so being able to talk to community members, you definitely do see how much of an impact that this wildfire season has had, and definitely how much of an impact it will continue to have into the future. So for me, going back home, talking about those effects on communities and learning from that, it's a similar thing in South Australia where I'm from when we have fires of this nature. So it's I guess really difficult to see communities hurting, but I guess one of the things I take away from it is just trying to be able to give them as much comfort as I can, which isn't always possible, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. All the pieces of the puzzle that we work so hard with within our fire organization, very important as we've talked about throughout. So, Tim, thank you for coming. Alison, thank you for being here to help us, with our disaster this year and supporting our country. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.